A massive privilege to have on the Flying Target podcast someone who's been in the YouTube game for a wee while now, one of the best game shooters, not just online, anywhere in the UK. Mr. Dave Carrie, welcome to the Flying Target podcast. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much, André.
Also, a world champion clay target shot at the recent World English at EJ Churchill, taking the World Championship. Is it the Super Vets?
Super vets, yeah, I'm an old man now, Andrew, but I keep trying to keep having a bit of luck.
No, I've seen enough of
Everybody
the
needs a bit of luck in these championships, and I just keep now and again. I keep eking a win out now and again.
Oh, that's beautiful. We'll get back to the World Championships in a bit, but I want to go to where it started, which ironically isn't that long ago. You took up the shooting sports relatively late in life.
I'd be about 40 years old when I started shooting, by chance really. It was a chance meeting with a fellow that I knew through the car trade, and I didn't really know it shot, I didn't know anything about clay shooting, and I'd sold him a couple of vans, and he came to our depot to pick these vans up, fetched a couple of lads to take them away, and got chatting to him, and he said he were going shooting that afternoon, and that's how I really got into clay shooting. I was going to a local ground. He said, "Do you fancy coming for a shot?" I said, "A shot at what?" "Clay shooting." I said, "What's that?" I'd never ever heard of it, you see. We come from a very poor mining background, and obviously the only thing we ever shot, we used to creep up at the back of a rabbit or something and shoot a rabbit, but with an old single barrel 410, or a catapult.
Yeah.
Nothing. We never wasted our money shooting at targets, It had to have a bit of flesh on its body. And that's how I really started. Little local club. Got the bug straight away, as you do when you break your first clay. And started from there, really. And then, as I say, got the bug and just carried on.
And then from there, it escalated into the hunting. Yeah.
Well, of course, when you start clay shooting, obviously there's game shooters that shoot clays as well, and I suppose it's a natural trip along. You find a game shooter, you'll be sat having a cup of tea and a meal, and somebody will come along and they've been out shooting parties do you fancy coming for a day, Dave? And it just happened, naturally like that. Again, you see, but it was 3 or 4 years after clay shooting that it only when I started going around the big grounds and got to shooting these virgin estates on the big clay shoots. That's when you start to meet the pigeon shooters and the game shooters then. And it sort of a chap came into my yard one day to buy some steel plate to strengthen one of his vehicle bodies up, and I noticed he got the clay shooting carbons. He's obviously just been to a local shoot, and he said, "Do you fancy doing a bit of game shooting? I've got a little pheasant shoot nearby, Dave." And I said, "Yeah, I've never been." And when I tell you, these birds would be no higher than 15, 20 yard high, so they were nothing special, but it was a great thrill. I didn't know any different then. I'd never seen anything, never been on a game shoot.
Yeah.
It was only a 50 bird, 60 bird day. And it was a nice invite because that was another leap into something else then, you see. That's where I got the bug for game shooting. Then I thought, well, there's got to be something better than this. Like clay shooting, I started with the DTL, the feather. And like we all do, or skeet shooting, and you naturally progress into thinking, well, there's got to be something better. I need to get better at this. When you actually shoot 100 straight at DTL or shoot 100 straight at skeet, what else is there left?
Yeah.
Oh, the sporting, and gradually you work your way into these other shoots. These other disciplines.
What I do love about your videos, and more than just about the shooting, they take you in, and whoever's doing the filming does such a great job of showing these estates and the countryside that you wouldn't get to see generally. Because some of these estates, I don't know how it works, but it's beautiful. You know, I was fortunate to live in the UK for 2 years, and much like Billy Connolly said, there's no such thing as bad weather. It's just the wrong clothes. And
Yeah.
the UK, when it's wet and it's grey like that with the rolling green hills, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place.
It's a great place to be out in the countryside, is the UK. I mean, we've got some fantastic countryside. And hopefully it keeps carrying on as it does. Obviously, I don't know what it's like in, you're from South Africa, yeah?
Yes, sir.
I don't know what it's like in your country, whether it's getting worse or better as far as shooting's concerned. I know anything to do with shooting animals, birds, there's more and more restrictions. But when you look at the UK, it's a phenomenon. There's
Yeah,
nothing else like it in the world, and it's been built up over thousands of years. And the countryside itself, but in the last 400 or 500 years, it's been even made more beautiful by the sporting people,
yeah,
by the shooting people, by the fox hunting people. All these lovely little woods on these hanging woods on these hillsides, they were all sown and grown, for fox coverts. And then these fox covers lend themselves later on to game shooting, to showing good pheasants and good
yes,
partridge.
yes,
It's brilliant. And if you go to Scotland, it's a classic example. If you go to Scotland, you go into these deep valleys, and you get a lovely hanging wood at one side, and then just 300 or 400 meters across, you've got another hanging wood, and these birds, when they come out of that, they're going home, you see,
yeah,
and they're going between 45 yard and 80 yard high. It's a fantastic display of birds to see, and how they fly, and how they've actually put these woods down to make the birds fly higher and higher.
yeah,
Obviously you cannot. If you chuck a bird off a cricket field, it'll only fly 2 or 3 foot high. So they've got to have the terrain, and we've got the terrain. If you
yes.
look at North Yorkshire, there's some fantastic valleys. Um, Wales, even better. And then you go to Scotland. It's so beautiful in Scotland, and this is the time to see Scotland is now.
Yeah.
Autumn is so beautiful. But it's a shame, that we're getting that many people that they're not country folk. They don't like anything really.
And this is why I love your videos, because you make a point of in your videos to go and speak to some of the local country folk, and you generally speak to on either end of the spectrum, some of the young beaters who are maybe one of their first or second years doing the drives, and then you go and you speak to some of the gamekeepers who've been doing it for years and years and years. And in one of the videos, you make the point that these retired gamekeepers could be so valuable to go and teach city folk about what actually happens in the country. And I think that's a worldwide
Exactly.
phenomenon. People don't
Yeah,
understand where their food comes from. They think it comes from a shelf in Sainsbury's.
you're right, Andrew. Yeah, I think we've let our youngsters down over the years. You can't blame them for being indoctrinated in the schools when the schools have taken the countryside out of the schools now. When we were youngsters, we were educated about the countryside. We knew every songbird, its song, where it nested, what its diet was, and everything. So we were brought up, even though we come from a mining town. We were still taught it. We still learnt about the countryside at school as well. Whereas now, I mean, and the farmers used to come into school, and the gamekeepers especially used to come into school. I mean, we used to get a visit by the hounds, the huntsmen and the hounds. You never see that now. You've got to go to a game fair to
Yeah,
see that.
yeah,
It's not the norm anymore.
yes,
I mean, where I come from, as a youngster in a little mining village, Saturday mornings you'd hear the click clop of the old clogs. The lads would be going out rabbit shooting, and they'd be walking up the streets with the guns just over their shoulder, not even in a slip,
yeah.
and nobody ever bothered.
No one batted
Now,
an
if that
eye.
happened, if that happened today, the flying squad would be there in 2 minutes, and they'd arrest every one of them.
Yeah.
That's how things have changed, you see.
Was that the idea behind starting Dave Carrie shooting?
It was a lot of it. I would say 75% of my own feelings were, why are we not educating the youngsters? And we've got we've got to keep this beautiful sport of ours. We've got to make sure our countryside survives in the fashion that it's been surviving over 400 years. If you look at the countryside in general, it's all based on farming and sporting. It's all based on large estates. Obviously, these estates have got smaller and smaller through death duties. Typically an estate 150 years ago would be it'd be 100,000 acres. It'd be nearly a county, you know.
Yeah.
When I were a youngster, Earl Fitzwilliam, the estate that we used to poach as teenagers, 13 or 14-year-old, we used to sneak onto the estate. He had 12 full-time keepers, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you imagine that, 12 full-time keepers, and they were there ready to, if they caught you, to give you a good hiding, you know. But these estates then were between 20 and 30,000 acre big estates. So you could always sneak on and get a rabbit or two, or sneak at night and get a. We used to go at night and with the old fairground pump action. You know what they used to shoot the tin cans with.
Yeah.
The old shot, you don't see them now. Little short 2.2s. You know, they could have. Only thing you could hear was that when they went off. There was silence altogether. So we used to use one of them at. I didn't go myself. I used to go with one of the older lads. You know, and they used to stash this bloody gun and share it between them. And in them days, if you shot 3 or 4 brace of pheasants, it was a night out because you could get 3 or 4 pound a brace then. Now you're lucky to get 30 pence a brace. You know, in monetary terms, it's nothing in today's terms. But I'm going back 50 years ago,
yeah,
when we were kids, you could actually sell them for 3 or 4 pound a brace, which were good money, you know. So these estates always they were always handy lads, the keepers. You know, they'd give you a bloody good hiding if they caught you, sort of thing. And don't forget they were keeping amongst a massive coal mining area.
Yeah.
And nearly everybody worked down the mines then, you see, and they were all rough lads.
Yeah.
And part of their life, and not everybody, but was air coursing, rabbiting, ferreting, and of course going out at night, sneaking a few pheasants.
Yes.
You know, so the as I said, the gamekeepers were a proper armed force then, you see. But where can I start by protecting the countryside and our wonderful sporting pastimes? And I think the only way we can start is show it to everybody, show it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Wow, such a wonderful thing that we've got here. And I mean, Americans know what we've got. You know what we've got. Most shooting people know what we've got. It's so unique to this country.
Yeah.
You know. And if we let it go, and these idiots that's in power now will let it go tomorrow and won't think twice about it, just to appease a small minority.
Yeah, who don't understand what it's about because
devastating industry that's worth millions.
Yeah.
In overseas revenue alone, it's worth billions.
Yeah.
You know, I think we have to show that. And that was my main motivation. As I said, 75% of it, the main motivation was to show the rest of the world what we have got and hopefully try and save it. And the other 25%, of course, were my own self enjoying it and wanted to keep it.
Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned some numbers there of what this industry generates in a year. Now, there are such fallacies and lies when it comes to what the costs are of this thing, because every time I bring up wanting to go to the UK to pheasant shoot, everyone says, do you need both of your kidneys? Because it's going to cost you a kidney to be able to afford it. What would a good day? So let's say, and now you please have to educate me a little bit here. I've been watching your videos and I know pheasant and grouse are the apex. That's what you want to do. And then partridge below that. What would a pheasant day on a good estate? What would it cost per pig?
Well, it's expensive when you're killing pheasants or partridge or grouse. grouse especially, it's expensive. But there is, you've got to, if it depends what purse you've got. Now, if you've got a purse of £500, right, you can find the odd day or two, which might be 50 to 75 bird days. It might be a group of 9, 10 guns instead of 8 guns. And each person it'll be acceptable for them to shoot 2 or 3 birds apiece. But they're in the countryside. They're seeing how it's run. It's a proper run and shoot, and it's not tearing the pocket apart. Yeah. It's between £500 and £600, and there is days like that available. And what I call beginner days, where people can have a nice day out in the countryside, take the kid along as well, and it's not going to break the bank. Then when you do get more successful in life and you do earn a few quid and you've got plenty of money to spend, then it can go from that £500 into £5,000. Grouse shooting.
How many birds could you shoot for on a £5,000 day?
Well, if you went grouse shooting, you could stand in a butt and only shoot 2.
Yeah.
It depends how lucky you were.
How lucky you were that day. Yeah.
You can spend £5,000 on a grouse day, right? And them grouse could go all over 3 or 4 guns. And I've seen that time because I've been on days like that. You know, and sometimes it's the boots on the other foot where they all come over you. You see, you'll get all the shooting. Somebody else is spitting feathers at the other end. That's grouse shooting. Yeah. And you can get fogged off and not pull the trigger. And if you're not insured, you've lost your money. That's how expensive it is, grouse shooting. I mean, now and again we have a few years where there's an influx of grouse, where there's plenty of them, too many, and then you can pick some cheaper days up. Maybe go spend £1,000 and have a 75, 100 brace day. I haven't seen them days in the last 5 or 6 years. Unfortunately, there's been a dearth of grouse. Every year since has not seen many grouse at all. It's the same this year. The £300 a brace, so that's each 2 birds. It's £150 per bird. Yeah, that's how much it is this year. But there isn't many grouse about, so the price goes up.
Yes.
Pheasant shooting, we've still got plenty of estates. Thousands of estates that's putting between 100 bird days on to 500 bird days. Some people, they don't, even in the shooting world, they don't like big days. But the ideal day for me is a nice 200 bird day on a nice, what I call, not extreme, but a high bird day where everybody in the team is going to get some decent shooting. You know, they might not be as good a shots as what I am. In an ideal team, you've got 3 or 4 that's average shots. Then you might have a couple that's it's never shot before, never shot game before. Yes. And you've also got a couple that can shoot and that are good shots. And a 200 bird day is ideal. You know, everybody can enjoy themselves. If you take them to an extreme bird shoot, now the average shot's not going to enjoy it. Yeah. And the 2 beginners are going to hate it altogether. Yeah. Because they're not going to eat anything. Yeah. The skill level won't be there, and they won't be, they won't have they probably haven't got the capacity or the cartridges that I'd use anyway. Yes. I go fully prepared to kill the quality of what we're aiming for. But there's a lot out there, Andrew, where you can actually pick a nice deal between £750 and £1,500 English pounds. Yeah. You can get a 100 bird day to a 175 bird day. When I first started, it'll be 25 years ago. You could buy 10 days, join a syndicate, which I did. My first decent estate, and it was you got 12 days. 2 of the days were outside days where you were just blanking in sort of thing, walking guns. Yeah. And 10 days you were in the covers, which means you were stood on a peg waiting for the birds being driven over you. And you were £3,500 per year.
Yeah, well,
Now
definitely.
it's 3,500. Yeah, but the days were tailored between, there were 9 guns, and they were tailored between 100 to 175 bird days.
Yes.
Depending on how good the shots were, you could get 175 or you could just get 100, but you had a full day out in the coverts, in glorious countryside on the edge of the moor, that's where it was, and shooting some decent pheasants and having a nice day. And but those days have long
gone.
Yeah, in some places it's £3,500 per day, but typically they'll be shooting between 400 and 500 bird days, and getting a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
So you get what you pay for.
Yeah, no, of course. So part of what I really enjoy about your videos is that there's a wonderful English hunting tradition, from the drawing of the lots to see which peg you get to 11s. Explain to me 11s. This sounds like a very, very cultured way to go hunting.
But it's just a drinking session in the morning instead of the night. 11s it's just tradition, where they'll stop, they'll shoot a drive, and then they'll stop at a certain time, waiting for typically it's just 11s were put there because it allows the beaters and everybody to get ready for the next drive.
Yeah,
they're pushing birds in, you see, from the fields, and maybe shoving them in from 2 or 3 mile away, getting them into where they want them, you see, to push them over the guns. So that takes a bit of time. So there's always a break, and they call it 11s, as you see. So that's all it is, giving the beaters, the keepers, and all the estate to get ready to get the birds in position, you see. Because don't forget, these birds have been, they keep saying they're let out of cages. These birds have been free for 9 months.
Yeah.
They've been free, they've been roaming, and they roam anywhere they want. So consequently, they have to get back over the flushing points. Right? And that's where they're going to launch into space. We're stood down at the bottom there waiting for these birds to come over the top of us at 75-yard high, hopefully, But that's all 11s is. It's just a delaying tactic, really. So let's all have a drink, and it's either champagne or whatever you like. Water, champagne, coffee or tea. Mainly champagne.
And then generally, I mean, some of the snacks, and this is something that I think in the shooting sports we need to lead into a bit more. So having followed your channel now, you actually mentioned this in some of the videos that you'd been to the doctor, he said to you, you had to change your lifestyle, you had to start eating healthy, and you started eating game. You started eating game meat, venison, and you started eating birds. How do we, as the shooting community, make that meat valuable again? Because there's so much.
Yeah, and we've got a big problem over here, and the biggest problem of all is that we haven't educated our youngsters that meat's good for them, you see. We have had, for so many years now, people trying to steer them away from eating meat. And that's basically because it's killing animals, sheep, cattle, whatever, And it's the same look, as I say, when I was a kid, you could sell a brace of pheasants for £3 or £4. That was an enormous amount of money then. You could get £1 for a rabbit. All the elderly people, they were waiting at the end of the road for you to come in with a rabbit or a brace of pheasants. But that's been lost, because we were brought up hungry, Andrew. It wasn't a case where we could go to McDonald's and get a bite to eat. We made sure when we got fed that that plate was licked clean.
Yeah,
you couldn't see a speck of gravy on it.
Yeah,
and I think people just aren't hungry in this country. In the Western world, people are not hungry, and they're not. And you cannot sell anybody a partridge or a pheasant or a grouse that's still got its feathers on. You've got to dress it up. Even to give it away, you've got to dress it up. And one thing that they've caught onto now, which I see more in the estates have got a selling point now, where they're actually making curries out of them. They're experimenting with soups and stews, and they're selling them, pre-packed, and they're delicious.
Yes.
And for me, it's hard to get it on the TV and say, look, this is a grouse or a pheasant that's just been shot. You want to try it? You can't sell it on the TV, can you? It's impossible. You cannot sell it to the general public.
Yeah.
But when we were an organisation, we've got several organisations over here, and what I tried to say to them when I first started filming, when you go to a game fair, you know what a game fair is? It's where every countryman gathers at a certain time of the year, and the main game fair, it's just gone, was in July.
Yeah.
All the shooting people gather, the hunting people, they all gather at the main game fair, which was at Radley Hall, a massive estate. And we all meet up there. And when I say to the organisation, because they've all got the stalls there, they're all there, they're also at these little fairs, and I'll say to them, what are you doing here? What do you mean? I said, well, everybody that comes through that gate is already converted.
Yeah.
I said, why are you not outside the big supermarkets with a chef there, cooking pheasants and parting, letting passers-by try them when they come out at supermarkets so he can sell you wares?
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? And they look at me as if there's something wrong with me. But if they'd have been doing that 20, 30 years ago, we wouldn't have been in the predicament that we're in now, because we've got something that's, well, it's so nutritious.
Yes.
Pheasant or partridge or grouse, it's so nutritious, low in fat, high in protein. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But you cannot give it away.
Yeah, and the same people that don't want us to shoot are the same people that are against sort of this industrial farming. But
it's the same. They're all the same type of people.
Yeah, well, it's the same people, and it's like you're fighting against. You're fighting against the people that want to help you. The countryside people want to help you. And I'm now using a really ridiculous example, but something that has done wonders for the plight of the British countryside has been Clarkson's farm. He's used his used his celebrity. He has a shoot on his farm. But it would seem that, as you've said, the education, especially in the cities, has been we've let the young people down. So, this is why, once again, I'm going to remember to go and click on to the description, go and check out Mr. Carrie's channel. It's called Dave Carrie Shooting. Mr. Carrie, before we wrap this up, the lead now, because it all feeds in now. It's the same people who want to stop the shooting who are now wanting to ban the lead. Are you going to be able to film your high pheasant shooting with steel shot?
I knew you were going to get around to that. Everybody else seems to zone in on me about the steel. Well, I think this steel shot that works. The problem that we've got, right? They've decided to ban single-use plastics at the same time as banning lead, right? So to make the steel shot work properly, and it does work, but it's got to be contained into a large plastic wad, which goes to the top of the case altogether, so none of the steel can touch the barrels, so that it protects the barrel altogether. But they do work, but it's got to be encased in the plastic wad. You've got the bio wads that are out now. Game Boy's got a good one, and Eel has got another good one, but they'll only carry so much shot. Because of the weight of the wad, of this bio wad, basically they only get a 34 or 35 gram load of steel.
Yeah.
Right. And steel's lighter than lead anyway. But what you basically want is a 42 gram load of number one steel and that'll kill any pheasant.
Yeah.
But it's got to be loaded in. You cannot get it in these bio wads because they're too heavy. It's got to go into the old plastic wads
Yes.
to get the killing power. And I'm not afraid of using steel, but I'd like to use steel that's exported from this country into America and other places, in parts of Europe, that's a lot better than what we're allowed to use here. But every one of it is encased in a plastic wad, and that's the difference.
Okay.
But lead, will always be the favourite killing metal.
Yeah.
They've not banned it from army, have they?
No, we can still shoot lead. So
You can
let's.
still shoot one. You can still shoot one another with it, but you can't shoot a game bird with it.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Mr. Carrie, I hope this becomes the first of many chats. Thank you so much for making time. And thank you for your wonderful films. And congratulations on becoming a world champion. I know you've won many, many titles, but it's the most recent one. So we doff our caps to you. And thank you so much for chatting to the Flying Target podcast.
No problem. Catch you later, mate.